Okay, confession time. I used to be that guy who couldn't even go to the bathroom without my phone. Like literally, I'd grab it before my toothbrush. I'd wake up and my first thought wasn't, how am I feeling today? It was, did anyone like my post from last night? Be honest. Does that sound familiar? Have you ever opened TikTok or Instagram just for 5 minutes and then suddenly an hour disappears? Yeah, I've been there. And in this video, I want to talk to you about why our phones are so addictive, how they quietly rob us of focus and peace, and most importantly, what we can actually do to break free. Stick around because I'm not just going to give you generic advice like use your phone less. I'm going to share what really worked for me, the mistakes I made, and some methods you can start today. And trust me, it's going to hit close to home. Chapter 1. Why phones and social media are so addictive. Let's start with the big question. Why are our phones so addictive? Here's the truth. They're literally designed to be. Social media apps are engineered to hijack your brain's dopamine system. Every scroll, every notification, every little red dot is like pulling the lever on a slot machine. You never know what's coming next. A funny video, a like, a DM, and that unpredictability keeps you hooked. And then there's FOMO, the fear of missing out. You don't want to miss that story, that meme, that update. So you check again and again and again. For me, it was validation. I remember posting a photo and refreshing the screen every 30 seconds just to see who liked it. It was like my brain was on a leash and the app was holding the chain. That's how deep the hook can go.
Chapter 2. What makes you do it? Okay, so why do we keep doing it even when we know it's unhealthy? One reason is habit stacking. We've tied our phone to literally every activity. Wake up, phone. Eating, phone. Bathroom, phone. Bedtime, phone. You don't even think about it. It's automatic. The second reason is avoidance. Sometimes scrolling is easier than facing silence, stress, or boredom. I didn't realize it at the time, but half the reason I scrolled at night wasn't because I cared about content. It was because I didn't want to sit alone with my thoughts. And then there's identity. Social media tricks you into believing your worth equals your online presence. How many followers? How many likes? How many people viewed your story? It's exhausting, but it makes you come back again and again. I wasn't scrolling because I wanted to. I was scrolling because silence made me uncomfortable. And that's when I knew this was bigger than just bad habits.
Chapter 3. How it steals your focus. Now let's talk about what it costs you. First, your focus. Every time a notification buzzes, your brain switches tasks. That's called context switching, and it destroys deep focus. It's why after just 10 minutes of scrolling, you suddenly can't concentrate on your homework or your job. Second, your attention span. Our brains get rewired for 10-second dopamine bursts. That's why watching a movie feels boring. That's why reading a book feels impossible. And third, your presence. I'll never forget one moment. I was out to dinner with friends, and in the middle of a conversation, I pulled out my phone and started scrolling. I wasn't even looking for anything specific. I just needed it. And then it hit me. I was choosing strangers' posts over the real people sitting right in front of me. That one stung, because I realized my phone wasn't just stealing my focus, it was stealing my life. Chapter 4. The real cost. It gets deeper than that. Creativity dies when you're always scrolling, because creativity comes from boredom, from letting your brain wander. But if you're constantly filling every quiet moment with TikToks and Reels, you never give your brain space to create. Sleep suffers too. How many of us say just one more video in bed, and suddenly it's 2 a.m.? Blue light messes with your melatonin, and constant stimulation keeps your brain wired. And don't even get me started on comparison. I realized I wasn't unhappy because my life was bad. I was unhappy because I kept comparing it to people's highlight reels. Perfect vacations, perfect bodies, perfect lives. And meanwhile, I was sitting there in sweatpants, scrolling on my couch. That's the hidden cost nobody talks about. Chapter 5: The Solution: Mindset Shift. So, what's the solution? It starts with a mindset shift. Instead of saying, I need to use my phone less, try saying, I need to live more in the real world. See the difference? One is about restriction, the other is about expansion. Your phone should be a tool, not your master. A hammer is useful, but you don't carry it around 24/7, right? Same with your phone. Decide what it's for: calls, navigation, music, and what it's not for: killing time or avoiding your feelings. Once I started thinking like that, everything changed. I wasn't quitting my phone, I was choosing to live in reality. Chapter 6: The Method. Practical steps. All right, let's get practical. Here are the methods that worked for me. 1. Phone-free zones. I made rules. No phone at the dining table, no phone in the bathroom, no phone in the bedroom. At first, it felt weird, but then those spaces became sacred again. 2. Grayscale mode. This one's crazy effective. I switched my phone to black and white. Suddenly, Instagram and TikTok weren't exciting anymore. They were just dull. Without the bright colors, the dopamine hit died. 3. The dumb phone weekend. Once a week, I'd swap my smartphone for an old flip phone or just turn off data. At first, I felt withdrawal, but then I felt peace. I was reading, walking, thinking. It was like meeting myself again. 4. Friction traps. I buried my social apps inside folders, logged out, and disabled Face ID. So every time I wanted to check, it wasn't one click. It was 10 tabs and a password. That little bit of friction killed the impulse. 5. The 30-day challenge. Instead of quitting cold turkey, I tracked my screen time and reduced it by 10% each week. Slow progress, but it stuck. None of these are about being perfect. They're about taking back control one small step at a time. Chapter 7: Long-term freedom. So what's on the other side? Freedom. When you stop letting your phone own you, you get your focus back. Suddenly, you can read a book again. You can sit down and work for hours without distraction. You also get connection back. Real conversations where you're not glancing at your screen every 5 minutes. And most of all, you get peace. No constant buzzing. No endless pressure to check, refresh, check again. For me, the biggest change was mornings. I stopped checking my phone the second I woke up. And you know what happened? My anxiety dropped. I wasn't starting my day on Instagram's terms, I was starting it on mine. Chapter 8: The Withdrawal Nobody Talks About. You know what's funny? When I first tried to cut back on my phone, I actually felt withdrawal. I'd reach for my pocket even when my phone wasn't there. I'd feel this weird itch like I needed to check something, even if there was nothing to check. That's how you know this isn't just a bad habit. It's a full-on dependency, and withdrawal is real. You'll feel restless, bored, even anxious. But here's the thing. Those feelings don't last forever. I told myself, this discomfort is temporary. On the other side is freedom. And just like with any detox, once your brain recalibrates, that itch goes away. Imagine how powerful that feels, not needing the hit anymore. Chapter 9: How Your Environment Traps You. Let's be real, it's not just you. Your environment is rigged to make you addicted. Think about it. Notifications, pings, red dots, endless scroll, autoplay, all designed to trap you. And here's the kicker. You bring the trap everywhere you go because it's in your pocket. So the trick: change your environment. For me, that meant turning off all notifications except calls and texts. No more dopamine buzzes. I also started leaving my phone in another room when I worked. Environment is stronger than willpower. If your phone is next to your bed, you'll check it. If it's in another room, you won't. It's that simple. So instead of relying on discipline, design your environment to make the healthy choice easier. Chapter 10: The Social Pressure Problem. Now, let's talk about the social side of this. Phones aren't just addictive because of the apps. They're addictive because everyone else is addicted too. If you don't respond to text instantly, people assume you're ignoring them. If you don't post, you feel invisible. I used to feel guilty if I didn't reply right away, like I was letting people down. But here's the truth. You're not obligated to be available 24/7. One of the most freeing things I did was tell my friends, hey, I'm cutting back on screen time. If I don't reply instantly, it's not personal. And you know what? Most people respected it. Sometimes breaking phone addiction means breaking social expectations too. And that takes courage. But it's worth it. Chapter 11. Rebuilding Real-Life Connection. When you take your phone out of the center of your life, you suddenly realize how much you've been missing in the real world. I remember sitting at a cafe without my phone for the first time. At first, it felt awkward. I didn't know what to do with my hands. But then I started noticing things. The music playing, the way people interacted, the smell of coffee. I was actually present. And that's when I realized phones don't just steal your focus. They steal your ability to connect with reality. So here's a tip. Schedule real-life connection. Go for a walk without your phone. Have dinner with a friend and leave your phone in your bag. It feels weird at first, but then you remember this is how life used to be, and it's beautiful. Chapter 12. Building a long-term digital philosophy. This isn't just about cutting screen time for a week. It's about building a digital philosophy for life. For me, that meant setting rules. No phone before breakfast, no phone an hour before bed, no social media on Sundays. These rules aren't about punishment, they're about freedom. They protect my focus, my energy, and my peace. You can build your own philosophy. Maybe it's no scrolling at work. Maybe it's deleting apps every weekend. Maybe it's scheduling time for deep work before you ever touch your phone. Whatever it is, make it intentional. Because if you don't control your phone will control you. So now we've gone deep. Addiction, withdrawal, environment, social pressure, real connection, long-term philosophy. The message is simple. Your phone should be a tool, not your master. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one digital rule you're going to create for yourself after watching this? Drop it in the comments. Maybe I'll use some of your answers in a future video. If this video gave you a wake-up call, hit that like button. It really helps spread the message. Remember, you don't need to throw away your phone. You just need to take back your power. Step by step, day by day. And trust me, the freedom is worth it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay strong, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next one.